Have you ever wondered what it takes to franchise? I've thought about it a bunch of times. Franchising is one of the most challenging operational growth and scaling systems you can create because you have to map out everything from how you tie your shoe in the morning to which leg you put in first to put your pants on. Okay, maybe not that much, but you've got to map out everything to a great degree of detail so that someone else can jump in as a franchisee and become the man in charge of a cool vision, cool operation, and generating their own profit. Well, this man today on the interview on the What It Takes to Scale podcast is a master of this. For 9 years, he's been generating his own growth by franchising his model of IV insertion, the energy IVs, and all sorts of different applications of IV therapy. But the amazing thing about this guy is he was one of those guys who started as a firefighter and was just trying to look for some other business to do on the side. Boom, he took a skill that he knew how to do, placing an IV, and turning that into a business that he's now grown for 9 years into 31 locations and looking to grow another 20 locations this year. Amazing story. You're going to love his energy and what he's done to grow his business. So jump right in. You're going to love this interview with Samael Tejada and look forward to chatting with you at the end. Welcome to the What It Takes to Scale podcast. I'm your host, Todd Westra, and this is the place where we take CEOs and founders and we dive into their business and discover what key decisions they had to make in order to grow and scale their business. Sam, welcome to the show. We are so glad to have you on. We're going to dive right in. Everyone's wondering, who are you and what do you do for a business?
Thanks, Todd. Thanks for having me here. Who am I? I'm just your regular 35-year-old guy who's trying to live the American dream, man. Trying to live the American dream. So
Not many 35-year-olds are doing that, dude. Tell us how you're doing it.
I started a company about 9 years ago called Liquivida. It was actually a part-time gig on my days off from the fire department. So I'm a retired firefighter paramedic here in South Florida. And like most firefighters on our days off, we usually work 24 hours on. We're off for 48 hours. We try to find a side hustle to supplement our income. So I started this company, Liquivida, with $500 in my back pocket. And fast forward 9 years later, It's this multi-million-dollar company selling franchises all throughout the United States. We're on the pharmacy side selling our proprietary product to over 4,000 doctors. And we're rocking. I was able to do that without injecting any outside capital into the company. We've been self-funded since day one. And it took a lot of work to scale, but we're here.
Dude, that's amazing. So $500 in your back pocket, how many years in business? How many years ago was this?
This was 9 years ago.
9 years ago.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us how do you go from $500 in your back pocket to where you're at today? I mean, what's been your favorite part about that growth journey?
Well, I'm a visionary at heart. So I'm more of the guy who sees the light at the end of the tunnel before you even get there, right? So as a visionary, I'm not really the person who's executing. So one of the things that I've always kept in the back of my head, and this is one of the things I learned early on in business, is that as a business owner, you have to get yourself in a position where number one, you can delegate so you can work on the business, not in the business. Now, from day one, right. I was physically in there. I was the guy starting the IVs on the patients, the guy communicating with all of the customers. It was a one-man show. But eventually, I started delegating, allowing me to keep on scaling the business.
Dude, that's so critical. How did you, plugging IVs in someone, plugging it in, putting an IV, placing an IV is one thing, but when you were growing this thing, what did you do to kind of document your path on how to train people into these positions and roles?
Well, I come from a very strong structure of having standard operating procedures, policies, being a firefighter paramedic. So those are some of the things that I've implemented from day one. And I have a strong saying is I'm actually writing a book. in part of the book, it talks about the true problem with entrepreneurs wearing multiple hats. So one of the things from day one was, let me go ahead and put a team together of people that specialize in different areas. So I'm not stuck doing it because, listen, I don't want to do accounting. Right. I don't want to do marketing. I'll dabble into it. But those are some of the things that I did early on.
So smart. Now, it is so smart. I think that's probably one of the things that keeps people from scaling to begin with is they don't know how to document and create these standard operating procedures. Would you say?
I would say so. Absolutely.
So what is it that, like, as you know, that's probably one of the funnest parts is seeing these hats that you get to wear. You get to take them off and hand them off to other people. I personally, that's one of my favorite things to do as well. What's been your biggest challenge? Like, what would you say as you were, you kind of started making this business go and you finally left the fire department or whatever you were doing there? I don't know what stage you did that. What did you do after that to kind of like, what was the biggest hurdle you had to jump in order to kind of make it to that next stage?
I think the biggest hurdle, growing the business to the level that we have, there's been a lot of strategic partnerships with vendors, with other people that are interested in doing joint ventures to open up some of these clinics that we have. And, you deal with a lot of different personalities. So I would say partnerships have been probably the most difficult. Being aligned with your partners is not the easiest thing to do because a lot of people have their own vision. Right. And, at the end of the day, there's only one quarterback in the game. So you got to make sure that there's strong alignment between you and your partners or any kind of joint ventures that you're doing.
So the partners, how many partners are in the business? And what did you end up, are you talking about like strategic partnerships people that you worked with to try and like hospitals and stuff like that, or sporting organizations? What did you have to do?
Oh, no, a little bit of both. So the first set of partners is after the first year of having Liquivida, on a fireman's salary, I said, well, how am I going to make this scale up? And what I ended up doing after the first year, I put a separate company together called LQB Management. So LQB Management has 5 partners to that company. Myself, who's the president and founder of operations. Shayna, who's the CFO of the company. Okay. She has her own accounting team. Emmanuel, who's our chief marketing officer. Our attorneys, Adam and Joe Wash, which they're one partner, but they're the attorney.
Love it.
And then our chief medical officer. So my goal there was, let's set up a partnership of team members that specialize in all of these different roles. So now I can focus on my vision and delegate to these partners what needs to be done in their respective roles.
That's great. How did you develop those arrangements? I mean, that's not easy for a fireman to come in and say, hey, doctor and lawyers and CFO, this is what I need you to do for me.
Well, that's where, as a visionary, I have to be able to package up what my vision is and then pitch it to them and get them to bite, which, listen, I didn't know which way it was going to go. It could have gone, either way.
Right.
But obviously they saw exactly what my vision was. They loved it at that point in time. And everybody committed. They said, you know what, let's do it. Let's all do this and put in time through sweat equity to make this a successful business.
I love it. I love it. Now, in that, I know a lot of people feel when they're making a move like that to align themselves with strategic partners. Did you ever feel like you got taken advantage of? And if so, what did you do to make it kind of feel right for everybody?
Yeah, multiple times. I mean, even up till today, you get partners that, they don't align with what your vision is as the CEO of the company. And, one of the things that I've figured that works very well, especially when you have so many cooks in the kitchen, is what I like to call it, is over communication. I would say about 95% of the issues that ever happen in business, it's a lack of communication between the people that are involved.
Agreed.
And that happens not just at the corporate executive level, but even with the regular staff members that are working the front desk, et cetera. And for me, over communication will just help create more transparency and alleviate a lot of those issues that come to the table.
I love it. So what advice do you have for someone who's kind of at that stage where it's like, hey, we've started making money. I can only take it so far with the resources I've got right now. What advice do you give someone who really could probably use those strategic partnerships, but is too afraid to ask or too afraid to go to someone who has the skills that they don't have?
Yeah, I mean, I would go with the Nike slogan and say, just do it. You know,
right.
It's one of those things that if you don't specialize in it, try to bring someone else. Pitch them your vision and see if you bring more resources to the table. And it doesn't matter what size your business is.
Right.
You want to take it to the next level, you're going to need more resources.
Love it.
You know, so that's just the nature of the game.
You know, it almost always is, right? Now, a lot of people do get burned bringing in those partners too early, you know, and they end up sacrificing a lot of equity that maybe they didn't need to do. When is the right time? What did you feel like was the right time for you to be like, okay, I think I got something that's working here. I think I need to bring on some more capital or some more relationships here. Yeah,
so I did it after a year of putting, you know, this beautiful brand together,
right.
The initial, creating the minimal viable product is what I did,
right.
MVP. And, you know, I don't think there's necessarily a time where it's too early. I think what needs to be done is things have to be mapped out properly when you decide to make that decision. And what I mean by that is when you bring on a partner, you know, things have to be written out with the true expectations of what they are. If you're giving up, let's say, 10% of your business, well, what do they have to do to get that 10% of the business? What is the production schedule? When are they going to be vested with that 10%? Is it going to be after 12 months? Is it going to be a year? What is it? You know, so you just got to basically hash all of that out and protect yourself throughout that process.
What if you're just not a documenting type person? I mean, there's just so many questions that a lot of people are probably asking right now. It's like, oh my gosh, how do I even find a template for that? How do I write that out? What do you suggest is the simplest form to kind of, I mean, what did you do to write it out?
Well, you know, I have attorneys, so, you know, they can be expensive, but if you don't protect yourself from the beginning, it can be a heck of a lot more expensive down the line.
Amen.
So you want to make that investment, work with an attorney, explain to them what you're trying to do, and then, you know, obviously put it on paper.
I love it. Now I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to guess, you know, of the group of 5 that you partnered with, was any one of these people kind of someone who was a mentor to you that kind of helped you through the first year? That, I mean, is there someone else that as you've grown the business, you've kind of looked at and said, okay, I just got to follow their lead on this because I can see it working for them. How do I implement this in my business?
Yeah, actually, no. Out of a group of partners, none of them have actually been a mentor per se.
Awesome.
We've worked more, you know, lateral to each other, if anything.
Cool.
But I've definitely have had several different business mentors that I've built throughout the years. Some of them that were my customers, my patients from early on that were doing a lot of these alternative treatments.
Smart.
And till today, I have a few of these mentors that, you know, I go out to lunch with them and, you know, pick their brain. And these are very successful people,
I love it.
That are just at a whole other level professionally and financially than what I am. But, you know, the cool thing about it is one thing I've noticed with people that have done what I've done so far, where you basically start from nothing and create something. Right. Those people that you connect with, they love helping you out because they've been there, they've seen it. And then when they have someone that's similar to them that they can coach and help them prevent a lot of the mistakes they did, they love. I mean, I'm a mentor for a lot of younger guys that are doing business.
I was going to say,
I still got my mentor.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're probably filling that role now.
I am.
I love it. Oh, I've done the same too. It's passion. I mean, you just, when you have that experience that you have now of growing and scaling an operation, you just feel so good giving back to other people that you see like, dude, watch out right there. That's a tough one right there.
Yeah, I agree.
I love it. Is there anyone in particular you want to give a shout out to? Anyone that's kind of been there by your side to help you through some of the challenges that you've had?
Yeah, you know, I got a couple guys that have been very helpful. I have one guy by the name of Michael J. Peter. and he was in the adult entertainment industry, owned a lot of the gentleman clubs, and he's actually the reason why I actually filed for a trademark, because as soon as I came up with the name, he says, "Oh, you got to file that trademark." I said, "Well, why do you got to do that?" He says, "I've made all of my money by enforcing my trademark."
Love it.
So I give him a shout out. I have another business mentor of mine, Doug Millard, and Doug Millard, I would go to his house and do a few of the treatments for him and stuff. And this guy, he was a franchisor, owned a very big, these academies for children.
Awesome.
And he would give me a lot of pointers about franchising and the benefit of franchising. And I learned one thing, because I remember him telling me, he said, I invested, after I sold my franchisor company, I invested and I bought a few Dairy Queen franchises. Well, this guy knows how to build a business. Why is he becoming a franchisee?
Right.
That's because he understands the importance of franchising and the benefit for a new business owner, utilizing all the assets and everything else in that franchise system. So that was one. And the last one that I have is Jared Tadla. So Jared Tadla, I meet with him almost every month for lunch.
Love it.
Jared Tadla is fantastic. He's a real estate guy, owns buildings, understands the business. And he has so many great words of wisdom.
Love it.
That, I'm quoting him in my book, and he's just very supportive since day one.
Look at you. You got a book now?
Well, I have one book launching first week of February.
Good for you.
How to Win in Modern Wellness is the name. And then I have another book that I'm writing that probably will be done by the end of the year.
Dude, you are an inspiration. Seriously. I love talking to guys like you, and I know the audience is going to love this interview, because I think that there's a million people out there sitting there thinking, man, should I try this thing on the side? Should I get this thing going? How much runway have I got? What do I need to earn in order to get this thing to grow and scale? And look at you. How many franchise locations do you have now? 31 locations.
Dude,
give me a break. That is so amazing. I mean, seriously, 9 years, 31 locations, and you built something that can be cookie cuttered and growth and scaled, and other people are having success under your tutelage right now. It's amazing.
That's right. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank
seriously, you are awesome. How do people get a hold of you? Do you have a LinkedIn that people can follow?
Yeah, so my LinkedIn is my full name. It's Samael, that's Samael, and then my last name, Tejada, Tejada. And I also have my Instagram page where I update a lot of content. I'm very active there.
Cool.
That's Sammy, Sammy _ Tejada, Tejada, and then another underscore at the end of Tejada.
Love it. We're going to put all that in the show notes. For those of you who want to follow him and see his success and get a hold of his content, please do. And we are just grateful to have had you on today. This is a great example of growth and scaling. Absolutely love the experiences. Thank you so much for being here today, man.
Awesome, Todd. I appreciate it. Take care.
So what'd you think? Awesome interview. I told you it would be. This guy has taken his business from literally nothing to being a full-time gig with multiple partners, growing and scaling like crazy. And I just could not be more proud of this business. First of all, this founder, but also the business. What an amazing business. I hope that you have found some value in today's conversation. Leave some comments below. We love hearing about this. Go ahead and check us out on our website. We've got show notes of how you can reach out to him and get a hold of Sam and follow what he's doing online, because he's doing a lot of good content on multiple social media platforms. So reach out to him, understand what he's doing to grow and scale his business. If you're interested in a franchise, got information below. And we hope you enjoyed today's episode of What It Takes to Scale. And we hope that you have learned something that will help you know what to do to grow and scale your business. Thanks so much for tuning in.